handle it. That's it. That's it. You're there. That's it, John. Yeah. You're there. You're there. You're there.
This is my dad. By nature he's an introvert, but he was happy to agree to be in my holiday video for 2 weeks as we travel through France and Switzerland. What a good sport. We decided to travel by car from Dover to Calais using the O Ferries Club Lounge service. Little did we know that this journey would elevate our travel experience to a whole new level. The Club Lounge experience came at a modest price at £12 per person, which we found to be well worth it. The added luxury and exclusive amenities made our trip feel more indulgent and enjoyable. As we approached Calais, we were reluctant to bid farewell to the Club Lounge and make our way back to the car deck. As we embarked on our journey leaving behind the newly extended and renovated port of Calais, we joined the A26 autoroute, Avenue des Anglais. Although the A26 autoroute served its purpose efficiently connecting Calais to Reims, it left me longing for enchantment and excitement that often accompanies a road trip. As we got close to the city of Metz, the scenery became a lot more interesting. We stopped for the night in a small historic town called Saverne, nestled on the edge of the Vosges Mountains. It had lovely architecture, cobbled streets and a canal running through the centre. It made a nice stopover. We set off early the next day and followed the Vosges Mountains southwards towards Basel, the Swiss borders, where we purchased our vignette. It was just a short journey of an hour from Basel to Lake Lucerne and Witschnau, where our campsite was located. Beautiful scenery most of the way, with Lake Lucerne and the mountains beyond. We went to a bar the moment we got there and had a few beers. Then we waited until it cooled down a bit before we pitched up for the night. Dad was actually staying in a chalet which you can see in this footage. It was nearby to where I was staying. Welcome to Camping Witschnau, which is a 5-star campsite on the banks of Lake Lucerne. You can see fantastic views of Lake Lucerne and the mountains beyond, like Stanzerhorn, Klauenalp. But you pay quite a bit for this pitch. I've got no electrics. I've got a view of the campsite infinity pool. Okay, you pay a bit more money than what you would in France and Italy and Spain, but it's worth it. It's a fantastic site, great facilities. I'll take you on a tour of the site very soon, including the amenities like the toilets and the bathrooms that are on site. We spent the first couple of days just relaxing on the campsite, mainly sitting outside Dad's chalet, which overlooked the area where a Scotsman who worked on the site showed off his talents at playing the bagpipes. His name was Damien. He could speak 5 different languages and was married to a Swiss woman and lived in Zug, which was only about half an hour's drive away from here. After relaxing for a few days on the campsite, it was time to get some energy together and climb the mountain of Rigi. It was a short walk from the campsite to the base of the mountain, and it zigzagged the whole way up to the very top, which was about 5,500 feet. And that's quite a climb in one day, and it was absolutely scorchio that day as well. There's a real sense of achievement when you make it to the top of a mountain, especially when they have a nice restaurant at the top and you can have a nice schnitzel and look at the views ahead of you. The next day we headed off to the St Gotthard's Pass, which was about an hour's drive from our campsite, which kind of marks the boundary between German-speaking Switzerland and Italian-speaking Switzerland. The main autoroute from Lucerne to Milan runs right underneath the mountain for about 17 kilometres, but we took the pass over the top of the mountain. Up at the top of the St Gotthard's Pass, and we're going to have a nice bratwurst cooked on fire and wood. A nice bite of that sausage. What's your bratwurst like?
Very good, yeah.
It's amazing how much engineering goes into building these roads that go up these passes. You know, you've got these tunnels set into the side of the mountain, so one side's all pillars so you could see the view. I mean, the amount of work and money being spent on that, staggering amount of money. Just along from the very top of the pass there's a precipice that looks out over the valley which leads down to Italy and Milan. This is now the Italian speaking side of Switzerland. As you look down at that valley we could feel the warm wind blowing up from southern Europe. It's a bit cooler today. We had a bit of a thunderstorm last night which cleared the air, and it's only about 23 degrees today. So we're going to take the boat from the lake shore near our campsite over to a town called Brunnen, which is at the far end of Lake Lucerne. There's lots of nice restaurants and bars there that look out across the lake. We're going to sit there and watch the world go by and have a look around town. Just having a quick beer before taking the ferry over to Brunnen. It should arrive in the next 10 minutes. We missed the one this morning, unfortunately. We're about 5 minutes late, so we had to wait a whole hour, so we might as well fill up our time at a local bar. A lovely view over Lake Lucerne. I paid about 30 Swiss francs and got a return on the steamer over to Brunnen. And it was a great little trip. Fantastic views of the Swiss mountains either side and all their little towns. It zigzags its way across the lake, stopping at all these various stops on the way to Brunnen. I saw people sitting there with cans of beer, which they bought from the shop, and were sitting there drinking it on the boat. But the boat even had a bar and even a restaurant as well if you were upgraded to like a Premier ticket. There we go. Brunnen was a very compact town with lots of restaurants and bars, which we took full advantage of. We found a nice restaurant which was right by the banks of the lake. Lovely views from there. The food was kind of Americanised food. We just sat and had chicken wings and burgers, but the beer was great. What do you think of this Swiss beer?
Well, it goes down very smoothly, yeah. Not too gassy, just right.
I walked through the town centre and found a nice little toy shop where I bought my daughter a cable car set, because you can't get anything like that back in England. We spent the rest of the day just sitting in bars watching the world go by, feeling pleasantly inebriated, and then we got the steamer back to Wischnau. 5-minute walk from the campsite is a nice little secluded beach made up of locals barbecuing and sipping beer, watching the beautiful views from the lakeshore. It was about 35 degrees that day, so we didn't want to do any sightseeing. That would have been crazy.
Deep. And start paddling. Oh, gotcha. Get the get the paddling. Get the paddling. Get the yeah. Now get the paddling. Right way up. Get the paddling. That's it. That's it. That's it, John. Yeah. You're there. You're there. You're there. Oh. That's brilliant. It's all on camera.
When it was super hot, we liked spending the evenings down in Wischnau village, right by the lake, just sipping on some wine and watching the sunset, watching people walk by, people playing in the lake, kicking the football around on the green. The Swiss obviously lead quite a healthy lifestyle. I should imagine in the winter they do a lot of skiing, and in the summer they're sort of paragliding, they're out on the lakes and their paddle boards, swimming, playing sports, cycling. They're just really outdoorsy people, as you would be in this sort of kind of place. They make the English look quite unhealthy in comparison. An intelligent seaman would be shrewd. We paid a total of 30 Swiss francs to take the car ferry across Lake Lucerne to a place called Burgundy. This is where we took the cable car up a mountain called Kluenalp. From our campsite you have uninterrupted views of this mountain. It has many trails on its summit and a few bars and restaurants as well. There's a small circular walking trail that goes around the summit of Kluenalp, which takes roughly about 45 minutes to complete. There's not much of a gradient, it's pretty much level ground all the way, and the views are outstanding. It was an easy-going, short walk, absorbing the serene atmosphere as we strolled along well-marked trails. However, nature's whims are unpredictable, and as I ventured further the weather began to shift. The once clear blue sky started to cloud over, and a cool breeze carried a sense of urgency. The first distant rumble of thunder reached our ears, a reminder that even the most breathtaking landscape could quickly turn inhospitable. Reluctantly, we decided to head back to the cable car station as quickly as possible before it really started to chuck it down on us. We finally arrived back at the cable car station only to find that they had delayed the cable car. They were not too sure what the weather was actually going to do. For our own safety, we were actually stuck up the mountain. That had to be the most intense cable car journey I had ever taken. There was fault lightning hitting the lake. When we arrived back in Burgundy, the rain was coming down in steroids, so we had to hang around for a bit before we got back in the car to head to the ferry. We had fantastic views of the passing storm cloud whilst we were on the ferry returning back to our campsite.
Not natural wine.
The last remaining days of the holiday were spent mainly doing what most people do on holiday. Eat rich food, drink plenty of wine, take in the sights. Driving along the shores of Lake Lucerne in search of lovely bathing spots to spend the day at. After spending 9 nights on the campsite, it was time to leave Switzerland and head to Burgundy, which was about 4.5 hours drive away. Just a short walk from Beaune town centre. There's a lovely municipal site. It took me about 10 minutes to walk into town from here. It's lovely, it's great facilities on the site. Lovely showers, washrooms, and nice pitches. I've just got a normal tent pitch with no electrics, but it's surrounded by hedging, so I've kind of got my own little cubicle in a way. I'm not overlooked by anyone. Nice and shady. And what I love about this as well is that you're a short walk away from the vineyards. So I'm going to head off up there now and show you the vineyards. You can tell by these signs here that this is a cycle path, a cycleway. It takes you through all the vineyards, I guess like on a wine tour. And you can hire a velo and tour all the caves around here, stopping off on your way and sampling a few wines. I'm tempted to do that myself. I spent most of the following day just walking the trails around the vineyards and the hills that overlook the town of Beaune. Nice views from up here and nice properties on top of the hills. If I was to live around there, I wouldn't mind living in the hills that overlook the town, because it's away from the hustle and bustle of the tourists. Last evening in Beaune, just walking off to find a nice restaurant to spend our last night here. I could quite happily live in Beaune. It's a very livable place, nice little compact place, close to everything as well. You've got Dijon up the road, Macon not far away, Lyon about 2 hours south from here. Nice part of the country this, I like the place. Crawling with tourists. It was time to say goodbye to Burgundy and head back home. But this time we went from the port of Cherbourg to Poole, because we lived in Poole. So it was nice to arrive in Cherbourg knowing that we had no more driving to do, only the 5-minute driving from the port back to our house. It took a total of 8 hours to get from Beaune to Cherbourg. We stopped a couple of times on the way. It was a lovely afternoon. There wasn't many clouds in the sky and we were looking forward to getting onto the Barfleur, which has fantastic deck space. We knew we'd have some lovely views from up there, and on a clear day, when you're halfway out, you can see the Dorset coastline and the Purbeck Hills, and if you look southwards, you can see the Normandy coastline. The duration of the crossing is 4.5 hours, and there wasn't many people on board. It felt like we had the ship to ourselves when we were sitting on deck, and when we got to the mouth of Poole Harbour we were treated to a lovely sunset and a view of Old Harry Rocks.